under the models directory, let's create here a Java class that's going to allow us to expose this data. Right. So let's go to Java and let's create a. Actually, no, first since this is going to be exposing an endpoint, it's going to be a controller, right? So let's create another package under here. And the package is going to be controllers. So all controllers live under this package. So let's create a Java. And this will be widget controller. And just to test that this works, let's create a really simple hello world endpoint, right? So to expose any behavior, any data to a URL hosted by this server, we need to tag the controller as a RESTful controller, right? This puts this class available to be invoked through a URL, and then in here you can then map different URLs that you want to make available through the server, right, to invoke certain functions, and whatever the function returns, that's what the URL endpoint will return, right? So let's implement a really simple. So this will be get mapping, and we'll say something like hello, right, and then we'll return just a plain old string of saying say hello. So whatever this returns, hello world, is what this endpoint will return, right? To try it out, we can start the application from within our IDE. Right, so it's running. We should be able to hit this with our favorite browser. So we'll say localhost. It's listening at 8080, I believe, and the endpoint that I just exposed has the hello URL pattern. Right, so we say hello. Notice that it returns the string that comes back from the server. Yeah, so we have the very first endpoint. But we don't want to do something as silly as this. Instead, we want to return widgets. Right. So let's return a single widget. So let's say we'll call this and call it maybe call it get mapping, and I want to have a single widget. Right. And so this is instead going to return a widget instance. So we're going to say get widget. And widget, it's asking me if it's that model that I want to expose. Yes, that is the widget. And we're going to instantiate here a widget. So we'll say widget w1 equals new widget. And I believe it takes in the ID and the title, widget A, right? And then we can return w1. Yes, right? And we can restart this. And yes, I want to restart the server. So now it's up and running. Okay, we can go back, and with the URL that we ended up using is widget. But notice that it returns the JSON representation of the data that we are returning, right? If this were a couple of years ago, this might have been XML instead, but JSON has taken over as one of the main ways of encoding data back and forth through networks, right? Even if it's not web, right? JSON has become very popular as a means of exchanging data across remote processes. Okay, all right, excellent. So let's keep going.